Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of my program, Path to Wealth Creation on Facebook. My name is Simeon Umar, and I strongly believe you have a very interesting program today. This program still remains and is still committed to the objective. The objective is to educate and impart young generations, including millennials and new beginners, to real estate investment, on how to invest profitably in real estate, and most importantly, to make intelligent investment decisions. So if you are just joining us on this program, I want to specially welcome you to this program. It is meant for you and you alone. Last week we had a very interesting time where we looked into the life of a football legend, JJ Okocha, how he was able to navigate his poverty level to a place of prominence. And we also look at some other areas of consideration when it comes to real estate investment in Lagos. So today we'll be looking at another interesting topic still on this wealth series. But before I go into that, I want us to really pray for our country. Insecurity is one of the major challenges we are currently facing in Nigeria. And I strongly believe we need to cooperate with the federal government and every security agency for what they are doing to curb the insecurity in Nigeria. And of course, if there is need for us to also seek help from external bodies, foreign countries, if need be, we can diplomatically go into a good arrangement to ensure that we get rid of any form of bandits, herdsmen, and all sort of evil attacks in Nigeria. So keep praying for our dear country. Keep safe wherever you are. So today we are going to be looking at another interesting topic, like I said, and by this time in next year, I hope to have opened up a WhatsApp forum through which we can be having one-on-one conversation on how you can take your investment journey from zero to the next level, or for any level at all. So if you are here and you are contemplating how do you join the ladder of real estate investment, you have nothing to worry about. Just keep following me on this program, and you can also chat me or send a message on your comment section. I'm going to attend to your request, because the aim of this program is to take you from point zero to a point where you can confidently say that you have good and profitable real estate investment anywhere in Nigeria. I'm here to assist you, and I'll also be bringing across your way from time to time the update in the industry, what is happening in Nigeria specifically. I will try as much as possible to bring it to your attention, because it's very important to also know what is happening around you, as well, being one of the objectives of this program, to educate and to impart you on a weekly basis. So today we are going to be diving into the life of a legend, a living legend, precisely the man who had gone through a lot of things before he eventually scale up, and everybody is celebrating him today. and no other person than Femi Otedola. Femi Otedola is one of the Nigeria's most influential businessmen, one of the most influential businessmen in Nigeria, and a symbol of resilience, strategic thinking, and of course, wealth creation. He is a renowned entrepreneur in Nigeria, an investor, and of course, a philanthropist who built a fortune from the oil and gas, power, diversified investment, and of course, real estate in a large scale. It started from humble beginnings and become a global or business icon. Femi Otedola's journey reflects discipline, decision making. His life continued to inspire millions of young entrepreneurs in Nigeria, of course, and my humble self, and across Africa and beyond. So this is the person's life story and journey we'll be considering today. I could recall when I was just trying to figure out if I can get my hand on any book written by a Nigerian author who is an entrepreneur or somebody who has vast knowledge about Nigeria economy and everything. And few months after that thought, there came a book written by Femi Otedola himself, titled Making It Big. Making It Big is one of the books I've bought this year that have impacted me tremendously. Making It Big. It showed the story of this great man and how he started from nothing to making a significant impact in Nigeria and across the globe. So many people really criticized the book when it came out because obviously they see him as a son of a former governor of Lagos State. But beyond that, there are a lot of stories behind it. A lot of people began to criticize the fact that he has network of different categories of big men around him. He has this, he has that, this has happened to him, and all sorts of that. But I come to realize that it's a product of your environment. That is just the simple truth. Whatsoever you are going to become in this life, it can never be disconnected from your environment. And one of the greatest assets or privilege or opportunity that this great man has was the fact that he grew up from a good environment. He grew up from a place that nurture and nourish, appreciate, promote, and encourage entrepreneur. That on its own is an environment. I've always been telling people that nobody is born rich or poor. It is your environment that shapes and transform you to what you become or who you become. Nobody is born rich or poor. It is your environment that shapes and transforms who you become in life. And that is exactly what happens to Femi Otedola. It is not really his background that defines him. It is the environment and the quality of decisions he makes. Another thing I want you to know when it comes to building wealth or developing a worthy mindset is the fact that it is the environment you grew in or you grow in, not where you were born, that ultimately determines your greatness in life. It is your environment you grow in, not where you were born, that ultimately determines your greatness in life. Another thing I want you to know is if you cannot change your environment, then change your location. If you cannot change your environment, you can change your location. I love the story of a man in the Bible. His name is Abraham. God had to tell him to leave where he was to another location. In other words, God was not really comfortable with the environment that he was. And for him to have a new mindset, for him to develop the kind of mindset that God wanted him to have, God has to tell him to change his location. So sometimes you also need to change your location for you to develop a different mindset. Because the truth remains that whatsoever happens around you enters into your mind, and you begin to form an habit based on what is happening around you. So if you cannot change your location, your environment, it is very important you change your location. And let me also say that it is not your background or a place of birth that defines you. It is not your background or a place of birth that defines you. It is your environment, your decisions, and the choices you make that truly define you. It is your environment and the choices you make that truly define you, not even your background or the place you were born. So environment plays a significant role in whatsoever we become in life. So be careful of the environment you find yourself, because whatsoever they say in that environment becomes your reality if care is not taken. So watch your environment and watch the kind of information or messages that enter your mind. They have a significant role to play in who you become in life. So greatness is not connected to your background or where you were born. It is connected to the environment you grow in and the kind of information you digested or you digest into your mind. That determines or go a long way. They go a long way in who you become. I'll be reading some portion of his book for us to know how important it is for you to find yourself in a good environment for you to live or develop a wealthy mindset. So let's quickly dive into the topic, which is from 0 naira to raising a sum of 10 million naira startup capital for his business. Rising from 0 naira to raising a sum of 10 million naira for a startup capital. But before we go into the whole story in detail. Let me quickly give a brief background of who Femi Otedola is. Femi Otedola was born on 4th of November 1962. He was born on 4th of November 1962, and he started his primary school at the age of 6. He started his primary school at the age of 6, and at the age of 7, he started his own business. Can you imagine? Somebody who has started his primary school at the age of 6, and at the age of 7, he started his business. And what business was it? What kind of business can a young boy of his age at that time could really start? Imagine at the age of 7, instead of you to focus your attention on education like our parents usually tell us those days, that your education is the most important thing in this life. Go to school, get a good grade, get a good job, and start living life to its fullness. But in this case, it is a different story actually. At the age of 7, he started a business. And what business was that? By the way, he started cutting nails. At the age of 7, Femi Otedola has been cleaning and trimming nails for his parents' visitors. Imagine doing this and your parents are not really trying to restrict you or discourage you from doing such at an early age. Can you imagine how environment started shaping this young man while he was still very young? At the age of 7, his parents supported him. His parents did not discourage him. They allowed him to do whatever destiny has commissioned or configured him to accomplish in life. Meanwhile, he wasn't the only son anyway. He has elder brothers, and of course he has sisters. But he chose a different path. And he started his business at the age of 7. And that is how some people really started off in life. Unfortunately, some parents discourage their son from pursuing what they really want to pursue in life. They emphasized on going to school, getting a good grade, and after getting a good grade, getting a good job, and after getting a good job, acquiring other certification for them to be what God has created them to be. But this case, his own case is completely different. At some point, he had to drop out from school to pursue his own God-given vision. That is who he was. That is how he started. So let me quickly read a part of what he said in his book, which was really interesting when I started reading his book, Making It Big in Life, or Making It Big. Yes, there is something that really drew my attention when I started reading his book. His parents enrolled him in primary school, and at the age of 12, and at some point, he discovered that school is not really a place or an environment that it derives satisfaction from. He said, he said, I finished primary school in 1974 because I repeated a class. Even when I was allowed to pass, I consistently anchored the bottom rungs of our end of time examination results. What that means is he always come last in the class. He always come third from behind. It happened to me when I was in primary school, I always come third from behind because I didn't really know book. Let me put it that way. I grew up in an environment that I practically don't read. I don't have interest in reading. So I love playing football. I love going out with friends. I didn't have time to do anything in my own case. So I was not really interested in school at all. And I could relate from what he said. I always come last in my class. 3 people, third from behind, they'll put it that way. Out of 50 students or pupils in class, I'll be around 47, 46, or 48. So I really didn't had good scores when I was in school. My primary and secondary school was really terrible until when I got to GSS2 before I began to pick up gradually. But in this case, his own story was different. The moment he discovered that school was not really his interest, he spoke out. He spoke to his parents. He discussed with his parents and they allowed him to make his own decision. He said something that really drew my attention here. He said, I grew fascinated with the machine. Okay, after this whole experience, his father started a business, printing press business. When his father started the business, this guy was interested in working with his father. And of course, having started his own business, let me read what he says somewhere in the book. At some point, he had to buy what we call kolo in those days to save some money, and then of course he bought cutting nails equipment to further promote his business. He said something in his book. One of the key points or advice he gave in his book, he said, identify, encourage, and nurture business acumen whenever you find it. Let me take it again. Identify, encourage, and nurture business acumen wherever you find it. He now said, my parents knew all along that I was business minded. My father in particular identified the traits in me very early in my life and did not make any attempt to dissuade me. He didn't deter me from marketing my nail cutting venture to his guests. I had many customers, and all of them were his friends, mostly from Mobile. Now hear what he said. I saved my coins in a kolo, a piggy bank that I bought with my income. I kept the money there until I opened an account with Federal Savings Banks, which catered to low income earner as student. Now you can see from his business, he started saving some money, and from there he was able to buy some equipment for his business. Let me tell you something. There are different ways, or there are two different ways that the rich and the poor use their money. Or let me put it this way, there are two different ways the rich and the poor think about money. The poor think about spending, they think about saving, and they think about investing. Now, I've always known that what we spend money on is always more than what we are even earning. So people don't really invest in the true sense when it comes to poor mindset. But the wealthy or the rich, what comes to their mind first is investing. From investing to saving, and from saving to spending. They don't just spend their money anyhow. Now you can see what this young man did. He saved. He had it in his mind that he's going to buy some tools that would help him run his business. So he started saving, and from saving, he invested in his business. And of course, he's going to spend whatsoever that is remaining. This is the best way to think as a wealthy man. So if you are out there thinking, how do I make money? How do I raise money to buy this property, or to do this, or to do that? The first thing that should come to your mind is investing in that asset. And when you invest in your mind, you begin to think about how to save for that asset. And then you begin to cut your expenses gradually. And that is the best way. You invest first, you save, and then you spend the remaining one. And let me also advise, like I said last week, try to open a dollar account. It is very important. Try to open a dollar account. Nigeria is part of the third world. And no matter how strong Naira might be, it can never be equivalent to dollar. So you need to start thinking how to save in dollars by opening a dollar account. It is very important. So now, nobody is born to rich or to poor. It is the environment. Look at the environment this young man found himself. And he developed a business mindset. And he was able to nurture it. And his parents assisted him. They supported him. They gave him all the necessary support that he needed at the time. Of course, in another environment, once they know that you are not very intelligent, or you are not somebody that is brilliant in education, they will just take you to somewhere where you can be learning trade or business. There is nothing bad about it, and I also encourage it, by the way. But I strongly believe that beyond sending a child to learn a trade or to learn how to do one or two things on his own, there are other areas that he or she might be good at. It is not left for the parent to identify the strengths or the skill of their child. I'm talking to a parent now. If you're a parent or you have a child already, please try to study your children and begin to identify their skills and help them to nurture it in a way that they'll begin to grow value for themselves. And for the environment, they find themselves. So environment plays a significant role when it comes to wealth creation. Have it at the back of your mind. And another thing that this man also said in his book, do not wait for the perfect time or until you need money. Create value now. Many of us, we have to wait until we have certain amount of money in our account before we start up a business. It is not always like that. When I started this program, I didn't have everything at my disposal. I just started somehow, and today I've been able to get some other things that will enhance my production. And from this level, I'm also getting other support. Very soon I'll be going on YouTube and Instagram to further promote this concept, because as far as this program is concerned, we are not limited. We don't want to be limited by anything. We want to have access to many people as we can, because my goal is to build good number of people that will make the best decision when it comes to real estate. A lot of people have been misled, a lot of people have been misguided, a lot of things have happened to so many people. They've missed big opportunity that will have given them good and lasting investment opportunity, but they lose out, they lost everything. So that is why I'm so passionate about this program, to see how I can provide the necessary information, guidelines, and ideas that will guide you to make the best investment decision. So if you're out there and you have people around you that you want them to be part of this program, please encourage them, share the link, tell other people about this program, let them come and learn how to make the right choice when it comes to real estate investment. So looking at the life of this man, it is very important that you don't even need to have everything at your disposal before you take up that bold step. If, for instance, you want to buy property worth 500 million naira, which is possible, you don't need to wait until you have that money. You can start somewhere and grow your capital. And you sell again and grow your capital. You sell again and grow your capital. Before you know it, you will have gotten certain amount of money that you can probably make use of to invest further in real estate. But the most important thing is for you to take a bold step. So don't wait until you have everything before you start. Just take that bold step and move with it. The next thing I will also talk about from this man, which is very key when it comes to making the move or making the right choice, is start where you are with what you have. You need to start from where you are with what you have. Your skill is enough. Your experience is enough. Your talent is enough. So start with what you have. You don't need to have everything from the beginning. And as you take that bold step, every other thing begin to work in your favor. When he wanted to start his business, he only had or saved up to 10 million naira. So that is why I always encourage people to have a plan of what you want to do and then start saving towards it. It's very, very important. Don't just sit down and believe that things will just work out naturally. Like I said one time ago, you don't need to wait until luck hits your way. You need to go out and make things work out for yourself. That is the best approach. And that is the best way to develop a wealthy mindset. You don't need to wait for opportunity. You look for opportunity and take advantage of it. That is what this man is saying in his book. I love another part where he says, where is it again? Okay. He says, it is certain not most exciting business choice if you want to rule the world, but something that simple can help you along as you take those first little steps. It is certainly not the most exciting, yes, it is certainly not the most exciting business choice if you want to rule the world, but something that can help you along as you take those first steps. It taught me things like having a nose for opportunity, creating value and getting rewarded, summoning the courage to pitch for a job, nurturing your commercial sense, getting yourself organized, and having fun while pursuing your passion. What I'm trying to say here is sometimes what you need is courage, what you need is confidence, and what you need is determination. You don't need to wait until you have everything at your disposal. So if you can gather energy, gather courage, discipline, confidence, and determination, things will begin to work in line for you. So starting up might not be too exciting, as many people have encountered a lot of challenges as we are trying to grow up their business or venture into any investment. But because they are not really determined, they are not really determined, they don't have that confidence that, are they going to succeed? Am I going to get it right? What if this happens? What if that happens? The fear of failure has actually denied a lot of people from taking a bold step to fulfill their dream and destiny. But it's very important for you to know that making it in life or venturing into an environment that you're not familiar with might not be easy or comfortable. But what you should have at the back of your mind is to be determined enough, is to be courageous enough, is to have this confidence in yourself that whatsoever you commit your mind or your hands to do, you are going to get it done, no matter what. So it is very important. And this is one of the things that really helped Femi Otedola while he was growing his business. He was determined to succeed at all costs, irrespective of the challenges that he might have faced in his business. Another thing that is also said was the fact that take advantage of poorly executed model and clean it up. I may not be able to talk about this one now, but I will say something about what he said somewhere that really got my attention. Yeah, and that is where he said, okay. Okay, another point that he also raised in his book is this. Place yourself close to those with influence and capital. Place yourself close to those with influence and capital. One of the things that helped Femi Otedola was the fact that he had a service and he could also deliver it to people that have money to pay for his service. Sometimes one of the problems we face is we have skill and talent or experience that could generate return or income, but we don't have access to people that have capacity to pay for such service. But you need to begin to look for people that can actually pay for your service. And not even that alone, you also need to have an environment that you can leverage on the people that can even help you to raise capital to run your business or your investment or your idea. So place yourself close to those with influence and capital. And if you look at the kind of people you work around, the kind of people you associate himself with today, you will see the likes of Dangote, you will see the likes of Adelekes, you will see the likes of Bukola Saraki, and many other people. The association you keep also affects the kind of the association we keep also affects the kind of destiny or the kind of or the measure of your growth or progress in life. When you associate yourself with brilliant people, of course, you will learn from them and leverage on whatsoever they have. But if you don't really have that environment that will influence you positively, you get discouraged. If you have big idea but you can't really transfer it or relate it with people that can really support you or finance such idea, that idea might die. So sometimes you also need to be very strategic in terms of the kind of people you associate yourself with. Adebin, when he wanted to start his business, nobody was there to support him morally or financially. His business idea would die. And at some point, he had to also take loan from his father to run his business. Such a beautiful environment. And I also read in his book that even his wife took loan from him to start up her own business. What a wonderful environment. So environment is very key in everything we do in this life. Associate with the right set of people and develop the kind of mindset that those people have. Because it's not about associating with the right people alone. It's also learning from them. It's also trying to emulate and copy some of the things that they do that make them who they are. Ask questions and let them guide you. So if you want to really invest in real estate, you also need to know nothing less than 2 or 3 people who have invested in real estate, who can also guide you, who can also encourage you and put you through certain things that you need to know before you put in your money. At some point in his career, when he wanted to venture into real estate, he has seen some of his friends like Dangote, Bukola Saraki, who have already invested a lot in real estate. And that was where he got the idea from. And he began to gather more information, more knowledge, more insight about real estate investment. He didn't just started investing in real estate. Of course, when his father was also building his projects or property, he was part of the team that helped his father to complete the project. So he was able to have an idea on how building projects. He was able to gather some experience on how to embark on a building project. And that also really helped him a lot. At the age of 25, he was the managing director of the business that his father established. So he didn't just venture into any business like that. No. He started as ordinary staff, working for his father, learning how to relate with customers, bringing more customers and clients for the business. And later on, he grew to a point where he was appointed as the managing director at the age of 25. And he was able to gather enough experience, customer management, delivery, quality service, and so many other skills that one needs to have before running a business. At some point, he had to make some viable decisions. He had to go and tell his father that he's no longer interested working under him, that he wants to also set up his own business. And his father really allowed him. And that was where he started setting up his own business, and he started employing people to work under him. He was for about a decade under his father, and he was able to learn everything about business and how to grow, how to manage customers, how to deal with people, challenges, and so many other things. He could learn all those things from his father. And by this time, he has dropped out from school. Wow. Because the moment his father set up a business, he took interest almost immediately. And he started working for his father. And his father was able to pay him certain salary every month. And from there, was able to save some amount of money that was good enough for him to start his own business. And that was what really happened. He managed his father's business successfully before setting up his own business. And from the experience he has acquired working for his father, he was able to leverage on those experiences and set up his own company. And that really works for him. Another thing that I also read from his book, which I also want to share here, is ask for help when you need it. You can't do it alone, all alone. You need people to assist you. You need people to guide you. You need people to mentor you. You need role models. So don't depend on yourself alone. Ask for help when you need it. If necessary, you can ask for financial support if necessary. Let me read what he said here. When I realized in late 1999 that I needed trucks to meet the insatiable demand for diesel, I asked my dad for a loan. Wow. Environment. Right from the age of 7, when I started cutting nails, learning how to run business. And from the age of 12, he started working for his father. At the age of 25, he set up his own business. And now he has run several businesses to a point of taking loan from his father to finance his business. Now let me read what he said here. He gave me $250 at 1% interest with a 5-year note. So his father didn't just give him money like that. It came with interest, and he was able to pay back both interest and the principal. So discipline is very key when it comes to running a business, and your integrity is at stake when you are running a business. Try as much as possible to be a man and a woman of integrity. Discipline is very important when it comes to running a business. So be somebody that could be trusted. Be somebody that is reliable. And be somebody that is trustworthy. Integrity is very key. If his father had no trust in him, he wouldn't have given him such amount of money to run his business. And he was able to pay his father with interest. He didn't say, oh, God is my father, let me just take advantage of it. He never did that. He was diligent. He was committed to running a profitable business. And that is the kind of mindset I want you to have. Don't depend on one source of income. Try as much as possible to create multiple streams of income, because that is the best way to build a sustainable wealth. And when you have built different channels of income generation, you can now buy a property at any location of your choice. It is very important that you seek for help where and when necessary. Don't just depend on your own strength alone. Your ability to leverage and collaborate with other people will help you to grow faster in any endeavor you find yourself. Try to build an environment that will give you room to access other channels of opportunities around you. Don't just do everything on your own. You will get tired and burn out in no distant time. But your ability to develop your social capital or your social intelligence and work with people around you and outside your immediate environment will go a long way in giving you the kind of future that you want to build for yourself. So looking at the life of this great man who has built himself from zero to a prominent man in Nigeria, it tells us that making it in life has nothing to do with your background. It has nothing to do with where you were born. It has nothing to do with whether your parents is rich or are rich or they are poor, but has a lot to do with your environment. It has a lot to do with the kind of decisions you make. It has a lot to do with the kind of association you keep. Your choices are very important. If you find your environment where they always say, I don't have money, I don't have this, I don't have that, you will see those people that have as your enemy. If you go to this person and say, I don't have, you go to that person, I don't have, you will develop a don't have mentality. And when you grow up and you eventually see people that have this and have enough around them, you will see them as your enemy. So one of the things you need to do as I round up this program today is to beginning to assess your environment. Begin to ask relevant questions. Begin to ask constructive and important questions. If you discover that your current environment cannot and will not give you the kind of future you are planning for yourself, there is nothing wrong if you choose to change your environment, because environments contribute 60 to 80% to what you become in life. Femi Otedola had it right from the beginning. He was able to work with his father, who set up his own business. He was able to work with his sister who taught him how to print or use printing machine. He was the secretary of his father. At some point, he became a sales manager. He was earning commission. Initially, he was on salary. Later, he started looking for customers, clients for the business, and he was earning commission. From commission, he started off setting his own business, and his father supported him right from day one, despite the fact that he dropped out from school. It wasn't a barrier for him, but his determination and commitment to make it in life was his key driver, and he was able to make significant progress. And as life played out for him, he was able to surround himself with good and profitable set of people, because the association that he kept at the time also helped him along the way. The association you keep, the environment you grow up from, and the kind of decisions and choices you make will have a significant impact in your life. So I will be here next week again as I discuss a different topic on how to prepare for the year 2026. This year is rounding up already, and I strongly believe you don't want to start 2026 the same you started this current year. So what are the things you need to begin to plan for as this year rounds up? What are the things you need to know? What are the plans you need to set in place? How do you want to spend year 2026 right from 1st of January? These are the things I'll be discussing starting from next month, because I don't want you to end 2026 the same you're about to end 2025. We've been able to identify various individuals, how they started from zero to something, how they built their career from zero to hero. So this time around next week, I'll be beginning to guide you on how to make investment decision, plans, goals for the year 2026. But it's very important you get it right. It is very important you make the right choice. It is very important you build wealth, not for yourself alone, but for the people around you. Look at the people we've studied over the months. What are the things you've learned from their life? As time goes on, I will still talk about this, some of them, as time goes on, but because of my time and the other things I have in mind to do before the year runs out, I have to put this one on hold and move on to another area that will help you to build that kind of wealth that is sufficient for you and even your next generation. So this is where I'll be drawing the curtain today, and I strongly believe you've learned one or two things. Until I come your way next week for another interesting topic on how to set out for the year 2026. See you next week Friday. God bless you.